Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. I'm Denise, and of course this is your weekly astrological reading. We're going to go from Sunday, January 8th through Saturday the 14th. The moon will go through the signs of Leo through to Libra, and it does look like an easier week except for the Mercury retrograde, but there's a lot of nice aspects this week. So anyway, let me swap out cameras and get this going for you. Okay, hold on. Okay, so starting out the week, I mean, you can probably see we have, of course, the moon in Leo, 5 degrees there, opposing Venus, 6 degrees there, right? But we also have the square to, now this is an approaching square to not only the south node here to the moon, and then over here to the north node, of course, because, you know, they oppose each other, and then back up to Venus. So we have a grand square in fixed signs. I have a feeling this is what is influencing, and out here, I'm doing this on Thursday, right? I mean, I have watched 7 votes for speaker, for House Speaker, and McCarthy keeps losing. I've done several readings on him. You guys can see those in the video library, but my goodness, I'm sitting here on Thursday looking at this Sunday wondering, what? Do we have this going on all the way through to next Sunday? As I left my kitchen area, living room area where the TV is, they're on their 8th vote. I thought politics wasn't boring yesterday, but I'm bored with this. Other than, I love the fact that McCarthy's losing votes every time he pushes this. He's not holding at that 20 defection. It's now, well, there's, yeah, actually, I guess he is. I'm counting the wrong direction there. Anyway, let's just let go of that. Let's focus on you guys for this grand square. So the opposition between the moon and Venus is challenging. And this entire grand square is challenging because these are all fixed signs. So here's a, quick little, let's do it this way, quick little astrology lesson when we have the fixed, mutable, and cardinal energies. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, those are our fixed signs. Saturn's sitting here in a fixed sign as well, sextile to Eris. So we have lots of opportunity. Remember, a sextile always turns into an opportunity. So a sextile to Eris, and remember, she's our goddess of discord. It's E-R-I-S. My soul bro, Danny Shea, said, wait, he had a funny joke. He made a funny joke about, did you say Aries? I thought you were, he said he thought I was the goddess of discord. So anyway, everybody send him lots of love. He and his wife are recovering from COVID. Please send him lots of gentle healing. So anyway, what we have here is the fighting spirit, the fighting feminine spirit that says, hell no, I'm tired of this, right? You'll stand and fight. You'll stand up and fight or sit and fight. And this is exactly what the Democratic Party is doing. They're holding firm for Hakeem Jeffries, which is good. But imagine this same energy in your own life. Will you stand up for yourself and not back down? Will you stand up when you know what's right? Right? Or not. I mean, that's the thing. When we're dealing with fixed energy, it's all about holding firm. right? We have mutable energy that blends. So the way the signs start out, we have the cardinal signs. So this so Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are cardinal signs, and they start the seasons, right? So spring, summer, fall, and winter. And with that start, we have expansion. And then the next set of signs we have, of course, like you can see here, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, and they're fixed. So there's a start, and then let's bring it in, right? Let's bring it in and figure out what works. It's kind of like Jupiter. Well, it's not kind of like, it is exactly like Jupiter expands, and then Saturn comes in and says, oh, but wait, we need some boundaries here. We can't go out there too far. We need to, on Earth, bring things in and create form out of the expansion, right? So it's the same way with the cardinal, then to the fixed, and then we have the mutable signs, which of course are Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and then Pisces over here. So those are the three modes of life, actually. With the mutable signs, we assimilate. So we expand, and then we contract. We expand, and then we create form, and then we assimilate and integrate. And hopefully we take what's good and let go of the bad, right? It's like my eldest son used to always say, in with the good, out with the bad. So we're in a holding pattern for this day, and we'll see how long it lasts, because this is approaching. We'll look at tomorrow's chart. This week I'm not going to do a weekly overview first and sit on one chart for a half an hour. I'm just going to keep moving through and pick up as we go. And so with this holding pattern here, hopefully for us, we can hold on to what is loving and kind and generous, and what brings in confidence and safety and courage. These are all the positive aspects of Leo. And what is good for the future, thinking of what's good for our children. Just think of really healthy dad energy. Or mama lion energy, whichever way you want to look at it. And it also has to do with our our creative self-expression, our own unique identity. When it's in the negative sense, this has to do with people that are in reaction to not being recognized. And we all deserve to be seen and heard and understood. But sometimes people get tired of others who are too pushy, like let's just think of Trump, who, he has Mars in Leo and a Leo ascendant. We're all tired. We're tired of hearing him. His voice comes on, and I immediately mute the TV. I do not ever click on a video where he's talking, because I can't stand hearing it anymore. We don't want to see or hear from him anymore. At least I don't. Maybe you feel the same way, maybe you don't. If you don't, yeah, that's okay. We all have free will. That's what Leo's all about. But opposing Venus, right? The moon opposing Venus. Venus and Aquarius, well, first of all, Venus wants harmony. Venus wants to unify. Venus wants to wants to have something that we really value, so we're willing to, compare. You know what? Hold on. My camera keeps jumping around. I've got it bumped up against the table here. Let me move it real quick. Okay, that should help. All right, so with Venus, it can be like the healthy mom. Just think of the Empress card, right? So maybe we have the Strength card here in the tarot and the Empress card up here, and it's like, okay, you want to be strong, you want to have your healthy boundaries, you want to be free to move outside of those boundaries and create what you really want. Well, what are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to dig your heels in for? Because the nodes are in, with Uranus, we want freedom, but the nodes are in this fixed energy of values, and we've been through this in the past, we've been through crisis, and we don't want this anymore. We're tired of it. So there's that. So that ties together, these two oppositions and this grand cross. Now, it's really important to remember that, like I started to say, the moon's at 5 degrees. We've got 10 degrees here. So as the moon clocks along, the approaching energy is always stronger than we have the peak, right? But we're feeling it stronger with the moon. And then we have our peak. So at 10, it'll be 10, 10. Venus will still be sitting there and it won't be such a tight orb, but the moon is going to continue to clock along and be in a T-square. So the moon will kind of leave some focus on Venus as it moves throughout the week. But as it goes, we're going to have that tight square, and then we're going to have a waning period where the moon's waning and it kind of backs off. So, yeah. Let's look at this aspect to the architect here. So let's do it this way. This trine here and the sextile here, because this is really important for the day. So the moon there with an opportunity to Mars to go after what you want, talk to others, think about it, learn from others, and maybe you're going to do something together. And then with the trine up to Venus, it's going to help bring something into your life that you really want. That's beautiful. And then with, hold on. Maybe I should move forward. That's sesquisquare I don't care about. It's too weak. Eris to Mars has been here. This is important. We've been sitting in this semi-square here, right here from Eris. Remember the warrior goddess of I will fight for my individual rights is in this semi-square to Mars, meaning that action has to be taken, right? So politically, the vote needs to be taken, but people are in that holding pattern, right? Yeah. So, okay. Neptune is also in the semi-square to Venus. You can see here and here. So action needs to be taken to compassionately feel what's right for all. We know that the Republican Party does not fight for all. They fight for themselves to, they call it so-called less governing and, but all they're doing is creating tax breaks for themselves and the very wealthy. And they don't care about the people. They don't work for the people. They will do everything to take away Social Security and Medicare, and they don't give a rat's ass about anybody except themselves and their wealthy donors. There's probably a few Democrats that are like that too, but I don't know who they are, so I'm not going to go into it, and there's, such a small number. But anyway, action needs to be taken in order to think more compassionately. Neptune in Pisces has to do with immigration, it has to do with spirituality, empathy. It has to do with getting out of victimhood. It has to do with this semi-square here. It has to do with thinking for the bigger picture, right? If people are trying to get across the border who actually have the paperwork and they're applying for amnesty and there's that legal way to do it, then why not? Because they work really hard. So why not support that? Now, at least that's my opinion, but that's just me. So what else for the day before I move forward? This, you guys know from last week, this is here for quite some time, right? And this is, whenever we have an inconjunct here from Chiron, especially, but from Chiron to the South Node, we're in that realm. So with Chiron, it's about accessing your deepest wounds and processing them through so that you can bring through your greatest gifts. Greatest gifts. Did I say that right? And from there, so these will be your greatest gifts from past lives, and then, or from the past, whichever way you want to look at it if you don't believe in past lives. But I'm kind of thinking, if you're into astrology, you probably do. So the depth of transformation, the past, getting out of crisis, digging your heels in for what you really want. There's an adjustment that's needed, and the only way to get what you want out of that is to work with your wounding. Work with your trauma, clear it out, do the work, feel the pain, keep breathing, let yourself feel it, whatever it is, as long as you're not going to hurt yourself or others. That's always my motto. Your feelings will bring through feeling your pain will bring through your gifts. That's the only way, I think. You can sit and meditate for hours in your head and you're not going to get anywhere. You can mentally do all types of exercises to be psychic, and you're not going to get anywhere with that. You're just going to have a lot of training in, I don't know. I call it spiritual bypassing myself. I call it avoiding. We never want to avoid our own deep work. And you can't get through your own deep work without feeling your pain. It just doesn't work. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go through the physical experience of something that happened terribly, in the past. Like let's say you were raped. I'm never going to say that you need to go through feeling that again. I'm saying you need to go through the emotional pain. The emotional pain's not going to, it's just not. If you're still here and breathing and alive, it didn't kill you. So why would it kill you in the future to feel the pain of the past in your heart, in your guts, in your psyche? All of that, all of those inner workings are connected to your spirit so deeply that all it's going to do when you feel that deep emotional pain is to bring you closer to who you are in spirit. It'll bring you closer to who everyone is in spirit as well. And that is, in essence, the work between Venus here and Neptune here. So spiritual source and personal, whatever needs to come through. Don't numb out against it. We have to be careful with these two signs, with Pisces and Aquarius, because they can tend to get us out. Let's just focus on aliens and ETs for, till you're nauseated. But, it's like, what? No, come into your body. And don't numb out with drugs and alcohol unless, if a little bit helps you get into your pain. Sometimes that can be the case. But if you're totally obliterating yourself on a daily basis over emotional pain, now if you're using something to help you with physical pain temporarily, I'm not against that at all. But if you're using something on a daily basis, that's just a little over too much, that your system can't handle. And the older we get, the more sensitive we get. So, you're going to have to work with, adjusting that. And that might be the action that's needed here too. With Eris, the action is the courage needed to move forward and make new contacts. And then with this aspect of the architect to the moon, the Mars is down there at this bucket point, but then it'll pour through your heart as you're willing to go and nurture yourself with Venus, nurture yourself in new ways by thinking outside the box. So by thinking outside the box in this scenario here, I'm thinking just to be willing to go through your sorrow and you'll find your joy. Be willing to go through your hate and you'll find your love. It's always the opposite, and it's always an inside job. It's always the opposite on Earth, just because we are unitive beings living in a dualistic sphere on Earth. which is the challenge. But it's okay if we hold the space between the, and, instead of it being either or, just always think of and. Okay, so let's say one thing is you think you need to be winning all the time or you're a loser. It's like, no, you can win and lose and you're still a brilliant, beautiful, magnificent being. That's what Venus and Aquarius can teach us if we're going through it. And with Saturn in this sextile to Eris, there can be some wonderful, Saturn and Aquarius can bring through some wonderful foundations that are much bigger than you've ever created in your life before, if you have the courage, to move in the direction you need to go. And keep belonging to yourself and mattering to yourself and staying present with yourself. And you will eventually be that way with others. And that's a huge gift. That's a wonderful, wonderful gift. Okay, so before I turn the page here, let's go to the double trine we're having here to the moon. So here's the moon in Leo, and we have this double trine, nice flow of energy to Jupiter and Chiron. So it's waning out of the exact trine to Jupiter. So Jupiter to the moon is an emotional connection, intuitive, public to the moon rules the public, expansion into courage, into daring, asserting our individuality. And, usually trines are a nice flow of energy, and this could be for Hakeem Jeffries, right? But it's not always easy. A lot of people like to think that like squares are just bad and trines are great and sextiles are no, they're just contact points. And when you're contacting two planetary bodies together, here you are. The moon is illuminating the courage and the healthy belief and the healing that needs to happen for individuals. So on a personal level, you could have a lot of heartfelt, heart-opening experiences today. And with the moon's moving away from this trine here, but it's moving into a tighter orb to Chiron. So moon trine Chiron can be excellent for healing and opening up the path to, and it's going to keep going, till it gets to 12. It'll be really tight until even after it's 15 to the moon to 15 degrees. So for this whole day Sunday, and I'm thinking tomorrow too, we're in that flow of energy for boldly going beyond. There I go with the Star Trek thing again, I guess. And then we also have the, you can see the trine up here from Uranus to Mercury. So excellent for thinking outside the box and breaking free. And again, fixed energy. Fixed energy here, cardinal energy here. So holding tight to what you really want and then doing all the work that it needs to bring it through. Remember, Mercury's the messenger, so a lot of times it'll be the duty, the control, the responsibility to sit down and meditate to get those messages, and then it brings through the breakthrough there. Or it can be sometimes after you've meditated. If say you sit down to meditate and you ask your guides, you have a bunch of questions, and it doesn't come through. It can be that it'll come through often. I find it comes through later. It'll come through in dream time, or it'll come through when you're just doing the dishes or some mindless task that you're doing on autopilot. So the aha moments with Uranus can come through. So remember to write them down. Grab them and write them down, because Mercury in Capricorn needs physical form, to bring it through. And we also have so this is, you can see this is a really tight orb for the day. And then with the sun, that's, nothing to sneeze out there either, because it's tight enough. And we have the trine there to the north node. So the north node to the sun and Mercury, I would bring the whole thing together there and the whole thing together here. Sorry for my mess. But this translates to awarenesses, spotlights, what people are saying, the way we want things to take shape, and the reasons why, and the breakthrough over here with Uranus and Taurus. We have to remember that Taurus is about security and self-preservation. It doesn't like to be pushed or rushed, but it's thinking of long-term, and Capricorn is absolutely thinking about long-term. We have two of the earth signs here. And the moon's moving towards Virgo, and you can bet, I'm pretty sure we're going to have, I didn't look forward, kind of flying by the seat of my pants this week, but I'm thinking we're going to have an earth trine from the moon to Uranus to the sun, Mercury. Yeah. So let's see, is there anything else to speak to? Chiron is squaring Mercury. Yeah, this is important here. Well, it'll still be there. Let's move forward. We'll talk about that. Let's zone in on that one first. Is that straight? There we go. Okay. So, yeah, 12, 14. It's still, so for Monday morning here, Chiron, right? The wounded healer, but the greatest gifts is, Chiron also represents teaching. Okay, keep that in mind. Mercury also represents teaching. We've got a tension field here, so what are we learning? Chiron's moving forward, and the sun goes so much faster, so that square isn't going to last. But Mercury's moving backwards, so this square to Mercury is tightening up. So pay attention to those messages. Hold on, I need to grab some water really quick. Cracking myself up. Yeah, I could pause the camera for 10 minutes and you guys wouldn't know the difference, would you? Quick or slow, whatever. So, but anyway, with Mercury retrograding back this way into a tighter square to Chiron, it's really important to keep asking yourself, what do you want and what are you willing to work hard for? Okay, because Capricorn requires a lot of self-responsibility and integrity and time and, your sense of duty. So what will you show up? It's like discipline, right? What are you willing to be disciplined to go for? And like, what is it? It's like that old book by Marcia Sinitar, Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. So what is it that you would do for free if you could? And that's your life work. And it can change. You can reinvent yourself throughout your lifetime. I've done it several times already. But what is it that you were always interested in, even while you were doing that other thing, right? It's like me with astrology, like way back in the 80s. Always interested in that, always studying, always learning. It took me until the 90s to start doing it professionally, with personal readings. And it's like, it's the thing that if you could, you'd do for free. That's your thing. So what is your thing? And that's where your gifts will come through if you're willing to stay within that tension field and just keep working it, And we can see Venus is trying to bring us into that as well. So Venus up here, of course, you can see in Aquarius is squaring the south node here in Scorpio. Scorpio is very, it will dig its heels in and is very duty-bound as well, usually, because there's a certain amount of intensity, a natural intensity that comes through with Scorpio to dig deep. They make great private investigators and psychics and people who really want to get to the truth. But then on the darker side, there can be sometimes the fear of betrayal, so they'll bite first, Like, you can think of a scorpion. And then sometimes it's just like not wanting to go deep. And with the square to Venus, that can be what it's about. Are you afraid to speak up and say what you need to say in a love relationship? Because Venus is all about relationships. And if you're afraid, what's that about? But remember that if you stay in a relationship that isn't right for you, you're betraying yourself. And then usually what happens is they'll end up betraying us and get us out of the relationship. So don't give yourself away with this kind of energy. There's an opportunity here, especially coming from the moon, like I said, is like out of that one square, but it's still in the square to Uranus, but it's waning there. But look at this trine we have going on, a double trine here to the moon, and from Chiron to Eris. So if we have the courage to stand up and say what we need to say, or sit down and wherever position you're in, say what you need to say, do what you need to do, be present with yourself. And we've got courage here and courage here, major courage here, and a lot of courage here. And then with Chiron, maybe it's to reveal something that has been wounding. And so maybe it's, making an I am statement, like I am feeling hurt, and it's because you've been doing this and this and this, but I know it's my issue. It's not you. It's just that you're reminding me of what happened to me in the past. And you're mirroring something that I don't like feeling. And maybe you can help me work through it. This would be in an intimate relationship, right? And that's especially the case because we have a Saturn opposition to the moon. So maybe it's a situation with a parent. Saturn often represents one or both of the parents. And you don't want to split off from that. You want to work through that healthy mirror, over here, and work it through until you have a breakthrough. And it's possible that you have that today as the moon clocks forward and comes into a direct opposition. You can see the 17 degrees to 23 degrees here. And then also, because the moon is in the square here to Uranus, there can be some breakthrough, which is really wonderful. And especially because Uranus is still in the opposition to the South Node, there can be wonderful healing of the past. And then there are we have 3 inconjuncts actually going on. Let's work with, it's not a finger of fate, we don't have a yod, but it's this inconjunct here from the moon to the sun. So the sun is shining the light, the moon's moving even closer. This is early in the morning, but still later morning and maybe even noontime, it's still an exact inconjunct here. And so an adjustment that's needed because the light is shining on something that you're trying to process emotionally, or maybe your courage is growing. I think that's what it is. I hope that's what it is. And if your courage is growing, you just keep your heart open. Know that there's a certain level of frustration as you move through your leadership. You'll be tested, and that's okay. But if you're the leader in your life, you're going to stand up for yourself eventually, over and over again, until you work through all your issues. So you might as well, start as soon as you have the courage, right? Just keep going. And then because of the inconjunct here from Mars is definitely courage. In Gemini, it would be the courage to speak up, and that can heal the past. And then the inconjunct from Chiron to the South Node that I talked about for yesterday's chart is still there, of course. And we can see Venus trine Mars is still there. Let's see, and you're the Sun to the North Node. Yeah, let's go forward for Tuesday, because that's still there. Yeah, these are Mars to the South Node is involving that courage there to speak up, think, talk, interact, negotiate. All of that's still there. The trine from, here's the one I was zoned in on, Mercury with a sextile to the South. So South Node here, the past, wisdom of the past, transformation of the past especially, with the opportunity to think about all of that in a whole new way, and then move forward with the North Node in Taurus in a brand new way with Uranus. Awesome. So talk and think about, so with the Sun here as well, it's still in this trine down to Uranus. So think about what it is you really want. Be willing to talk with others, work with others, and just be thinking much bigger. I mean, Uranus, it's such an awesome planet when it comes to helping us to wake up, helping us to turn things around and make new discoveries. It's most of all entirely about freedom. But we also get all those flashes of insight along the way. Sometimes it's in hindsight, it's in 2020. It's like, oh yeah, I remember feeling that way. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but you remember like a full body experience, like the hair going up on the back of your neck when you saw somebody, and then later on they really caused problems in your life. And now you know, right? Like you know that you were empathing something. Or you remember getting an idea, maybe there's some direct knowing, and it helps you remember something that happened. So the spotlight there can help bring a message through from the past that also helps you to move forward, because now you have more self-confidence. With the moon at this anaretic degree right here, this 29 degrees, it's, the next degree is 0 and moves into Virgo. And that is exactly the adjustment that needs to be made for you to be the ruler of your own life, empower yourself. With Pluto and Capricorn, that's exactly the adjustment. It's all about you leading your own life and going in the direction that you want to go. And you know what? If you make a mistake, it's not a mistake, it's just a do-over. It's a learning experience. So don't even worry about, don't ever go to the place of thinking that you need to be perfect. That's coming from wounding. You don't have to be perfect to start something. You do need to have your act together, because you don't want to just like boldly jump into something without without having a healthy boundary. It's like you don't take your clothes off and get in your shower without having maybe the front door locked or the or the walls up in your house, right? Like that kind of a thing. Like if you have that safe container built, then you can play within that container. That's why I always like to learn as much as I can about something, or ask a lot of questions if someone's bringing it up and they know, whatever, and just kind of go with the energy from there. But you need the structure before you can play, basically, right? So also with the moon trining Eris, that's been building, and that's wonderful here for courage. Venus trine Mars is fantastic. Also, the flow of energy and talking and communicating. I'm hoping that all of these points are I'm hoping that it's brought through the adjustment from the past that's needed, and we have a house speaker by now, right? I would hope, but who knows? Basically, it's like, will McCarthy, because I don't think he's ever going to make it to 218, but will he withdraw? We'll see. So anyhow, with Chiron to that semi-square to Venus, yeah, it's getting into a tighter orb. You can see that here. I'm sorry. It's not easy to see right there. To Venus, to Chiron. This sextile here, that brings in the ability to take an opportunity, take a risk, to go for what you want, think outside the box, and bring through your deepest gifts. It's time to bring through that buried treasure inside of you. You've been working hard to excavate it, and it's time to let it shine. And especially in a very physical way, because you can see the sun is moving forward. I go usually with a 7 to 8 degree orb for a conjunction. Some people use a wider orb, like a 12 degrees. You can do that too, but it's really close, and it's going to get tighter and tighter every day. And the Sun conjunct Pluto is all about empowerment. With this, in conjunct here from Pluto, so see the tight. Well, it's okay. Blue, green, whatever. See that tight connection there to the moon? That is really, really good for the empowerment that I was talking about, your leadership and your power. So empower yourself and move forward as best you can. We have good and bad days, and don't beat yourself up on the bad days. Always just lift your head up and keep going. What's that? Who did that song a long time ago? Hold your head up. That's the one. Remember that song. And you will make mistakes as you go, and it's okay. You're human. We'll all forgive you. It doesn't mean we love you any less if we make a mistake, right? Okay, so yeah, Venus 9 to 10. That's I'm going to clock into that one in this next chart, because everything else is the same there. Wednesday, right here, this is what I want to look at. So Venus is at 10, right here. The North Node's at 10. Uranus is right there, because Uranus is moving backwards, right? And because it's retrograde, well, it doesn't really move backwards. It's just our relationship to the Earth. It's like it's our thing. Anyway, see the square here and the double square here. Make that a really thick line. And this is a T-square, where Venus is up at the apex, and it makes her a little more powerful in this situation. Although I always feel that Uranus is probably the more powerful one, because it's a slower moving planet. But let's play with this. So Venus to Uranus. Venus wants what she wants, and she wants harmony. Uranus is willing to break some things down to make it work right. In Taurus, it's all about safety, right? Uranus is the internet. It's our electric grid. It is, it's science, right? This is the energy that actually rules Aquarius, the planet that rules Aquarius. And this is our breakthrough with fusion energy that I think I talked about last week. On the positive side, it's in the positive expression of Uranus, especially in Taurus. It is all about science and humanity and seeing the big picture and being very tolerant. In Aquarius, Aquarius is good when it comes to tolerance, but on the lower level, the lower expression of it, it can be not tolerant and not being treated fairly. And so women are pretty tired of that, right? Maybe there's a breakthrough somehow with some reproductive rights, because Venus is all about reproduction. Taurus and Scorpio are definitely about reproduction. So this here, right? That's really important. Now, let's see, what else? Yeah, with the aspect of the architect here, it's still in there with Mercury to Uranus, so everything is still the same from yesterday with everything else over here. So now let's tune into the moon, which is in this exact quincunx to Chiron. So like I was saying before, it's about, well, we've gathered the courage and now we're assimilating the details and we're making a plan that works. This is where the adventure into letting go of perfection needs to happen. Bring your gifts through no matter what. Just work it through a little bit every day. Just think of like, a toddler that's learning how to handle its body and walk really well. You fall down, man. We fall down. It's just life. And be willing to get back up again, and you don't have to be perfect. You just keep going. And that is especially the case with the inconjunct down here to Venus. I mean, to the moon, up to Venus. And then, I hope you guys can see this because I've been doing this for so long. This yod, check that out. And it points to the moon, right? So the finger of fate means something comes through that is really important. Remember, Virgo energy it's healing, it's useful, it's about health, it's about divine order in its highest sense. But it's ruled by Mercury, and we also have the trine to Mercury. So there's something important, there's some breakthrough that comes through. Can you guys see, hold on, let me see. Is it there for tomorrow? Because maybe that'll be the better place to... Nope, it's only today. Okay, hold on. I got to draw it in. I'm hoping you can see it. We have a kite to the south node. Look at that. It's not drawn perfectly, of course, because that's me. But the south node has to do with the wisdom of the past, pointing to a breakthrough, coming from an emotional place where you're in more order inside yourself than ever, and you're getting the messages you need to get. Breakthrough, divine order, the past, and more messages. And that can just keep coming through and coming through and coming through as much as you can handle today. So I would say go for it and keep going for it, and that's especially the case with Mars. Use this day well to get that information that you want, to help you move forward. Because remember, Venus is up there in that T-square holding space between the past and the future. Perfect. Now, we do have a square from Mars to the moon, of course. But it's at the waning side, so it's good that it was happening in the middle of the night, at least here Pacific time. Might be a little more challenging for Eastern time. But what is important here is that with the square to the moon, from Mars to the moon, is to let yourself take your time. Don't react too quickly. Let yourself take your time to get to the place where you're feeling you have the details of what you want to put out or say, or it's okay to be quiet during this time. And don't feel like you have to. It could be one of those mornings where you don't really want to get up and get going, but there's so much going on that you kind of have to. Maybe tell the people around you need some quiet time this morning. And then we can see that there's also, Mars is, still in this inconjunct with trying to assimilate the past. Could be a big news dump day, and it's like, maybe have that. Just give yourself that quiet time in the morning, because it's to jump into it right off the get-go might be a little too much. So get yourself some quiet time eventually if you can't do it right away in the morning. Let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, the sesqui squares I'm not going to bother with. It's really important to I can't reiterate how much it matters here that we have all this trine energy, or the sun, I'm sorry, the sun, oh yeah, no, the sun's waning away from that trine, but it's still there a little bit to Uranus. But this connection here, the sun to Pluto, because the sun's shining the spotlight to where you need to go. It's also shining the spotlight on the corrupt politicians that we've had it with, right? And we've gone through our third Pluto return, the 3-phase with the, forward, retrograde, direct, station direct, and then, forward, then retrograde again. We're done with that, but it's still not going to be firmly into Aquarius to stay. It's going to dip into Aquarius in March, but then it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn in June, and then it's going to eventually settle into Aquarius, not until 2024. So it's like, hold on to our hats, right? And then for us in the USA, when it finally gets to 6 degrees Aquarius, it's going to hit on our south node. So there's that, all right? So all we can ever do, no matter what, is just keep holding on to our integrity. Keep in our power, in our integrity. The best use of Capricorn energy here is integrity. And just to keep working and working and working on our integrity, hold that firm stance. Eris is going to just sit here for a long time. I mean, I was born with Eris at 9 degrees. I'm pushing 70 and it's only at 23. So it's going to be quite some time before it even changes sign. And so the sun is square Eris and Pluto is square Eris. How do you guys think that's going to work out? Well, Pluto square Eris has been happening for quite some time, and we can see what's happened. We've lost Roe v. Wade. We've gone backwards in time when it comes to women's rights, and I don't think any of us are happy about it, except for some, I don't know, whatever. Why anybody would be for taking away a person's rights over their own body is ridiculous. But, yeah. Okay, so let's tune into the moon. It's doing quite a bit. So all the other aspects are the same, but the moon here, let's look at the trine first. Up to the sun, right? So up to the moon and Pluto. Look at that. So the moon in Virgo has assimilated well enough to have the details. And because it's trine Pluto and the sun's conjunct to Pluto, I'm feeling that it for sure, I hope for sure, even though Mercury's still retrograde, I hope for sure by now we at least have a house speaker. I hope it's not that, thing that took 2 months like it did back in 1855. Shout out to my sister friend over at Meister Tarot who popped that comment into my reading. That it's like she went way back. We all knew about the one in 1923. She went back to the one where we broke a record in 1855, where it took 133 votes to get the House Speaker in. It's like, oh my God, no. Okay, you can also see that the moon is at the apex of this finger of fate here. Right here. To Saturn. I'll just keep the green going there. Okay. There's a opportunity with people in the government working for all, but they don't all, right? So let's say an opportunity for the Democrats to have the courage to stand ground and do the work. Meanwhile, until the GOP gets their House Speaker and they can't pass anything, they can't do anything, they can't swear anyone in. So there's that. It's chaos. And the maker of chaos here is making a quincunx aspect to the south node, so that makes sense. But let's focus in here a little bit. I don't want to get distracted. With the moon in Gemini at this later degree, Gemini, what am I saying? Moon in Virgo to this later degree, with the moon at the apex here, I feel like it has to do with the people, the public. And the details are out there. And the adjustments are having to be made to, I'm thinking the GOP, but it could be the Democrats. Anyway, Saturn is about the rules and the regulations for humanity in Aquarius. Societal rules. An adjustment because the people have spoken, maybe, hopefully. And then there's another adjustment to maybe some chaos and discord here. And what opportunity, what's the healthiest way to work through it? So this could be the politics of your own personal life too. What do you want to form? What foundation are you trying to lay in your life that creates more freedom in your life? And do you have the courage to do that work in whatever way, whatever way it needs to be, whatever things, needs to be done and initiated with this Aries energy here? What self-assertion do you need to make, and how are you going to do that? And you do not need to be perfect. Just let go of that. The moon is also in an exact opposition to Neptune, which is, that's not bad. It might be that you wake up with a kind of foggy clarity from dream time. Clarity, I say, because of Virgo with some details. Dream time because of Neptune, especially in Pisces. But if you don't get it written down or recorded somehow, either in your phone or written down on a pad of paper. Problem with doing it in your phone, sometimes you lift up your phone, you look at it, and then you get distracted right away. So I like to use paper, and I have a journal next to my bed. And when I wake up with a dream, and I usually always do, even just a little snippet, I write it down on the paper before I even grab my phone. Because if I grab my phone, I'm done. It's just gone out of my mind. A lot of times I'll wake up because I need to pee, I grab the journal, and I take that with me. Right? It all depends. So, and you can do that if you're in the middle of the night too. Like if you wake up in the middle of the night, you have to go. You just grab that little journal with you, and sometimes you can hold it quite a while, but write it down first. It's like get the information captured is the deal, and that is especially true with this, because this aspect of the architect here, I mean, it's been going on right here to here. This aspect of the architect means you can build something. Here are the plans to build something in your life. So where does this show up in your chart? Because this has been happening. I think it's been there all week. No, wait, hold on. Not Sunday. Not Monday. Okay, Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Let's see. Is it there on Friday? Well, Mercury's going backwards. So yeah, I don't even have to look because I'm sure it's there. So anyway, what do you want to build in your life? What's your plan? and how are you going to do it? And it should be something that leads to more freedom and bliss and happiness and security, most of all. Something that brings more safety and security into your life. You could look at, we could just as easily, I don't know if I can reach back here and grab a pen. Just for fun. Let's do this. Money. Money. How you like that? And what do you have to do in order to get those transactions going in your life? What's your plan to create that foundation of more resources that you share with others and they share with you, where we resource together, and more money into your own bank account so that you have savings or whatever it is. So that looks good with the moon there. Let me move forward. Yeah, Mars to the south node. That could be the good ideas, the adjustments that need to be made. Yeah, so let's look at Friday. And we have an aspect of the, a yod, finger of fate there. Ooh, and that moon in Libra is doing some stuff. Okay, so Mars is down at the focal point now to the past, the south node, to Mercury, plans, opportunities. I don't usually think of plans, but I keep hearing the word plans. Oh, and there's that grand trine I thought was coming in, yeah. Okay. I didn't miss one from before, did I? No. Okay, thank goodness. Okay. So, but let's focus on this one. So Mars gets you where you want to go. Mars is movement. Mars is motivation. Mars is what do you want? How are you going to get there? Do I really want it? Mars activates something that you're willing to fight for. Mars is, it can bring in that inspiration. Well, Jupiter can too, but Jupiter can bring in a lot of healing and inspiration. But Mars, it can be more physical, but it's in Gemini, so it's about communication in the mind. And the adjustment is coming from something that you know from the past and something that maybe you want to talk about. This is an exact, because remember, when we have this, when we have the inconjunct or quincunx, both the same thing, it's 150 degrees. It's a very tight orb. We're only working with, like 0 to 3 degrees at the most. And so they, but now that Mercury's going backwards, Mars is, of course, direct, but it's still not out of its retrograde. It doesn't get out of the retrograde until March, about mid-March. But it's, yeah, because it's moving forward. So this might last. Let me see if we have it tomorrow, too. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. So we have 2 days. And maybe it even lasts into Sunday, but I haven't run that chart. So we have at least these 2 days to figure out what we really want. With the wisdom of the past, can we do it? And how do we want to do it? Figure out what we want to do and what tools, resources do we have within and without to accomplish it. And are we willing to, just keep talking about it and doing that work, bringing it in? With Mercury retrograde, it's going to be over on, hold on, I have that chart over here somewhere. Here we go. It's going to be over on the 18th, on Wednesday. So it'll go beyond this week, but the Wednesday, 5:12 a.m., it'll go direct. But it won't get out of the shadow, like I said before, until the 7th. But yeah, it's going to go back to 8 degrees. When it stations direct, it'll be at 8 degrees. So it's only going to be 2 more degrees from today. So this is the energy, for I think the entire weekend. Yeah, so what do you want from the past? What can you create from the wisdom of the past, and how do you want to do it, and who are you willing to work with? Mercury's very transactional. Mercury negotiates. Mercury will work with others and keep bringing through, especially with Mars and this connection with Mars. It'll bring through the right words. Like if you're writing a book, this is great energy. If you're negotiating with someone for something that you've been working on in the past, it's great energy. It's good for connecting the dots and linking patterns together that can physically bring something in Capricorn. Or it can just be the energy of working really hard and there was a breakthrough because you went towards what you know, with Mars here, you went towards what you wanted. It's very directional. Okay, so, and then of course, this aspect of the architect is still in force here. The breakthrough here with Mercury at the apex there. Let's look at this grand trine. This is cool. From Mars to the moon, and then up to Venus. Now, the Venus rules Taurus and Libra, so she has a nice connection to the moon here. So the moon in Libra wants fairness and equality, wants to merge, wants to cross that bridge to the other. Venus is all about relationships. The moon in Libra is the primo relationship energy there. And then with the trine down to Mars, there's a lot of communication this day. This is a really great weekend. Like if anybody's doing a webinar online, if anyone is helping to empower others, this is great energy for the weekend. And putting together a plan. I keep hearing the word plans again. Plans. Yeah, and because we have to look at the fact that Mercury's in this double trine. It's an exact trine to the north node, so that's where the plans. Yeah, the plans for the future, of course. And but also I feel like there's something about integrating the past, of course, because of the finger of fate there, the yod, finger of God, whatever you want to call it. But then also we have a square from Mercury to the moon. So I feel like this could start out with some tension, but as the moon, it's approaching, right? Because the moon's only at 5, Mercury's at 10. So as we move into the day, we're in that tension field of, wait, this person wants this, but is it fair to all of us, or is it fair to me at least, right? If you're negotiating with someone, because this is very negotiable type of energy and consciousness here, as well as Mars in Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini, and while Mercury rules Gemini and Venus, and while the moon was in Venus, we got really clear with the details. We heard what they said. Do they do what they say? Are they trustworthy, basically, when we're talking about partnership? Because Venus is about partnership and Libra is all about partnership. Is this person someone I can trust? And then, you've got the South Node here in Scorpio and this yod, and it's like, oh, wait, I remember I went for it with this person before, and they weren't trustworthy in this one little way. So let's talk about it and ask them, what happened back there, and see if something's changed or shifted in that relationship. Because with Scorpio, the South Node, we learn and we heal and we forgive and we move on, and so there's that possibility for that breakthrough there, especially as Uranus is moving backwards in a tighter orb to the nodes. Let's see. Yeah, these are the same for the week. The sun is in an exact, okay, see the sextile here from the sun at 23 degrees, and I have to include this whole powerful, connection with Pluto to Neptune. That's really fantastic. So Neptune's moving forward. Pluto's just going to sit there, right? Neptune doesn't move fast. It's, like 14, 15 years in one sign, 164 years to get around. So, but it is moving towards, you can see, Neptune is moving towards an exact sextile with Pluto. It's only 5 degrees away now. That's close enough for me. But the sun is there shining a light on the future. The sun is definitely, has a spotlight on the future of politics, corporations. Just think of power with Pluto, which sadly tends to be money when it comes to, life on Earth. Doesn't have to be, but it is. Seems to be. It isn't really, though. It's really love. They say that Mother Teresa was the most powerful person on the planet while she was alive because she could get anybody to get anything done for her. Think of all those orphanages that she created because she just kept asking and working and, we need this and please, right? She never gave up. She kept fighting for love and compassion. And that's what Venus in Pisces is all about. You could just put Mother Teresa's name right here, and that would teach you the most about what Neptune in Pisces is. But she had such a drive, too, so I'm thinking she had some major planets. I've never looked up to see if I could find her astrology, but yeah. So power and compassion. The light shining on power and compassion. And do these people who are in power, are they compassionate and loving and kind? Are they thinking of the big picture for humanity, or are they just being selfish? That's the question, and that's the question here. And that's always going to be the question in your life, in your relationships. Are you working in compassion? Are you working with your personal love, Venus, with your spiritual love, Neptune? And that will empower you if you do that. But if you're not, it's okay. You can have as many lifetimes as you want like that, but eventually you're going to come back to this place because this is your higher self. Eventually, in some lifetime, you will align completely with your higher self. And then at that point, I think it's your choice whether or not you have to incarnate. Okay, Saturn to Chiron here. Now there's something there. 23 to 12, yeah, wow. So there's a nice little inconjunct here. So Saturn, responsibility, with an opportunity to share your gifts there that help humanity and help you get outside of your box and be more free, right? Get outside of our little boxes of limited possibilities and open up to all possibilities. We have a lot of space being held here by the outer planetary configurations, or movements, I guess it would be just the best way to say it. So there to... Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's right. There's also an exact sextile here to Eris. So again, if we can have that courage, the courage to... So this is an approaching sextile, so this is going to be for quite some time. But then again, Eris is just sitting there. Saturn will continue to work towards, but for quite some time, we have this exact, I'll just say, it's a sextile, but I'll just say, opportunity to bring something into form that is really good for you and others. Now, you can see that the moon is also in an opposition for the day. It's there to Chiron and Jupiter here. These two to here. So it can be challenging and confrontational, conflicting type of energy at first. But then there can be a breakthrough. And there might already be a little bit in the morning on the 13th because the moon's at 5 degrees, Jupiter's so the moon is moving away already from the contact to Jupiter. But Jupiter expands. The moon wants to join and interact and connect. And with Libra, it's all about relationship. But the Aries to Libra energy, Aries can be me and Libra can be you, and it can be like me versus them. But then if you keep working with it, if you get out of your wounding and stay in your courage, maybe you could reveal something to the other person that is the truth, which could be a yes or a no, whichever is your truth. We have to honor our no's as much as our yeses. And yeah. Now let's see. Let's look at the next day, because I think some of these. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move forward for Saturday. Tuned in here to Venus. So Venus here squaring the south node. That's been going on. Yeah, that's that T-square. That's all week. Don't forget about that. The moon, wait, hold on. Was the moon? No, we were okay there. So this is going on for quite some time. Venus holding space for you thinking outside the box and working with the past and the future to go more and more towards what you want. And same thing, with politics. And look how Venus is moving closer and closer to Saturn, right? Yeah. It's like personal and political joining together. And the moon is squaring Pluto this morning. So the moon's in Libra. We've got that double opposition still going on, right? But it's shifted from Jupiter, from Chiron to, yeah. Wow. So the courage that's needed to share your gifts, work through your wounding as you go. You don't have to be completely healed in order to share your gifts. That is not the case at all. But then the moon with the square up to the sun and Pluto, which are now with only, those 4 degrees apart. That's tight. So have the courage to join with others is what I'm getting. And we will all find our power within our sharing with each other, right? That's important. Mercury is in this square up here to Chiron. So again, that need to communicate. What do we want? What can we give? Don't take on too much. With Jupiter in Aries, there can be that tendency to just go for it and take on too much. And that little adjustment, could come through if needed from the south node. There's with that little sesquisquare there. And the sun sesquisquare Mars. Yeah. Okay. Eris is still in that semi-square to Mars. So again, all week, of course, action is needed in order to get going in the direction you want to go. And like I said, that finger of fate, Yod aspect, that's still in effect on Saturday. Yeah. So again, the plans from the wisdom of the past to get you motivated on the right track. Just keep opening up to your purpose and your plan is what I'm hearing there. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm done. The moon has the nice trine. I won't color it in. I'll just show you here that double trine to Mercury and Venus and Saturn. Yeah, that T-squared Mercury, that's still going on. So there's a lot that lasts for a few days. The moon will move out of the square, but it's still going to, out of the trine to Venus. but it's still going to continue to the trine to Saturn. So bringing this energy together, it's like the moon in its transit is supporting the coming together here of Venus and Saturn. So, it could be kind of like mom and dad energy. We think outside the box and we have a better plan. But mom's kind of leading the way, even though Saturn's been sitting there going, well, I don't know. Dads do that. Moms can do that too. But the moon in Libra is bringing the focus in. Now, this could be the public teaching the government what women want. There's more of us on the planet, so it's really not a good idea for us to sit back and not say something. Yeah. So, and Saturn. Wait. There's, Venus, Saturn, sextile. Yeah, that's the one that's been there and will be there for quite some time. I'm repeating myself here. That's what happens. You keep looking and you see the same thing. Venus sextile the Sun. Sun and Pluto sextile Neptune. Yeah, spiritual power and your heart as the bridge and your relationships as the bridge. Your personal power on earth is empowering to your healing path in the spiritual realm. See, that's the thing we have to remember, is that in the spiritual realm, we don't really have the motivation to do a lot of healing work because we're in 100% all. We're in the all of bliss and love. So it's kind of like, well, but why? Why would I, whatever. So we sign up for these incarnations on Earth so that we can, when we agree to temporarily forget who we really are while we're on Earth, which can be really challenging. But we do that so that we can work through our deepest wounding, Chiron, our deepest false beliefs, and our power issues, which is Pluto. And then as we do that, we start remembering more and more about who we truly are. And we start balancing out our soul splits, our deepest separation in our spirit. And then we start bringing more of our spirit through. But hopefully that gives us more courage to fight for the truth and fight for equality and fight for justice and fight for love and not join with hate. Hopefully that's what it turns into. That's what's empowering. And with the transit of Pluto and the sun joining in, hopefully more and more people learn that and they realize that, we're all in this together. Might as well be kind and loving to each other. So I think that's it for this week. If I've missed anything, if any other astrologers are watching this, you notice I missed anything, or any of you who, because we're all, intuitive and psychic, if any of you get any other hits, put them in the comments. I love that. So, okay, well, I'm going to wish you the best week ever, and I'll be back later. Take care, you guys. Bye.